Welcome back to our spiritual journey series. In today's episode, we delve into the transformative experiences of a group of individuals who just concluded their monastic phase and are venturing into a new chapter. Having returned from their spiritual sojourn, they bring with them profound teachings and insights gained during their time as Buddhist monks and nuns. Join me as we explore their transition into a different city filled with new challenges and opportunities for spiritual growth. After returning home from my spiritual journey as a Buddhist monk, who spent several months living in the serene countryside outside the city. During this time, many of my fellow monastic brothers and sisters also returned to their homes sharing the teachings they had received with their families and elders. This in itself was a profound act of passing on wisdom to future generations. With this phase of our journey as monks and nuns completed, I embarked on a new chapter. Leaving behind the distant lands, I arrived in the northern region of Pulnero. I was accompanied by 120 individuals, including many young people from noble families. In the vicinity of the Ajapishvara city of the Finalo people, there was a tranquil garden where I, along with some dedicated friends such as Kudli, Julinim and Vimalapara, as well as some dedicated monks, meditated in Shaddadhamma. It wasn't long before two young men from a wealthy family approached me, expressing their desire to embark on a spiritual journey and join monastic life. Their family owned 3 mansions for different reasons where they resided. At first, one of them, Motendari, intended to leave home. However, upon learning that his brother also wished to do the same, he reconsidered, as they were the only 2 sons in the family, and he believed that the entire family leaving would not be appropriate. Therefore, Motendari decided to send his younger brother Arun to consult with their parents. When Arun, the younger brother, approached his mother to discuss leaving home to join the spiritual path, his mother was strongly opposed. She said, "My happiness is completely dependent on you. It can bear you leaving home. Karyabu cannot leave." However, when Kawilano honestly conveyed his desire to join the monastic life, his mother's resistance began to waver. She realized that allowing her son to follow his spiritual calling could bring peace and happiness to their family as well as harmony to society. I had been listening to these interactions, and when I saw the mother beginning to reconsider, I intervened. I told her I believe that Kurulam's aspiration to leave home is rooted in a sincere desire for spiritual growth. It is in the best interest of your family and society. By permitting him to follow this path, not only will he be able to achieve spiritual freedom, but your family will also be enriched by his actions. After a few discussions, the mother, finally convinced of the merit in her son's decision, agreed to let him leave home. However, she placed one condition. Kedawan needed to gain the approval of his best friend, Prince Bhattadara. She believed that Bhattadara, being of high rank and status as a royal minister, was unlikely to consent to his friend's departure for a simple life as a monk. Conveyed this to me, expressing his concerns that Bhattadara would not approve. I chuckled and said, "Why are you so pessimistic? I can try to convince him. If it is meant to be, he will consent." And to see Bhattadara, who was a minister responsible for several provinces in the northern region, he greeted me, warmly astonished that a monk would seek his counsel. I explained Arun's wish to leave home and embark on a spiritual journey. Bhattadara, who had many soldiers under his command and held a significant position in Ishadindishla, Padanadeva's friend, chose a monastic life. Nevertheless, I encouraged him, saying, "If I can, I will help you. Trust me." Arun had conveyed that it would take 3 years before he could leave home. Bhattadara replied, "Very well, I need time to arrange family and political affairs." Kurulam returned home to share the news with his family. His mother was astonished that I had managed to secure her son's future as a monastic. She expressed gratitude for the guidance I had provided. She allowed him to embark on his spiritual journey with the condition that he would not leave for 7 years. Well, this seemed like a long time. It was better than the indefinite postponement they had initially proposed. As I continued my teaching and sharing the Dharma in Naloting Park, I witnessed the power of compassionate reasoning. The journey to enlightenment may seem long and filled with obstacles, but the most significant transformations can take place with time and patience. In Gazar, in this story, we find that a finalist perspective can change societal harmony, can be achieved, all personal aspirations could be fulfilled through open-hearted communication and understanding and compassion. A group of 6 individuals journeyed on horseback to the border of Fanlar, and heard that a monastery was located nearby. Before crossing the border, Garga, Azalenton suggested that they should remove all their ornaments. Precious gems, rings, and other adornments were placed in a single cloth and handed over to a poor person on the roadside. The travelers stumbled upon a small barber shop. The owner appeared young and modest in attire which caught their attention. Azalenton inquired about his name, and the young barber replied, "I am Yanalek." The travelers asked if he could guide them across the border, and Yanalek willingly agreed, as they parted ways with their jewelers. Hermkin remarked, "Yanalek, we aspire to become Mendanites. These ornaments no longer hold value for us. We would like you to accept them to make your life better." Each of the travelers contributed to the bundle of ornaments, and Yanalek accepted the generous gift. A sense of unease overcame Yanalek as he held the bundle. He had never seen such length life, coming from the humblest of backgrounds. He felt the radiance and the weight of the jewels. To him, it was not just precious. It was an immense responsibility. A young nobleman in the group, led by Wang Ring, had abandoned their riches to become Mindanban since Yanalek's unease. He quickly hung the bundle in a tree and urged the first passerby to take it. Yanalek had no interest in wealth. He hoped to join them in their quest for a life in the monastery where they sought peace, joy, a release from the worldly burden. And the following day they arrived at Daramabisha, where they learned that the monastery was located 2 miles northeast. Their guide Yanalek led them on this spiritual journey. As they approached, they met with representatives of the monastery who welcomed them with open arms. Yanalek introduced them, explaining their intentions. The monks of the monastery agreed to accept them as novices, but suggested that Yanalek should undergo ordination. First, to ease the transition and promote harmony, as they wanted to minimize the ego and bias among the novices. Yanalek, being only 18 years old, would receive preliminary training, but could only accept ordination after turning 20. The youngest of them, Utan, who had already been initiated, was the exception. The others, namely Shanmo Mikan and Tenzin, were adults. They traveled together to the remote monastery Deladatsan, situated within a forest. Rainy season was imminent in Ruman, and the generous hosts had made preparations to accommodate the newcomers. In mood in the monastery was joyous as the presence of the Niemanda. Dance was highly anticipated. A sense of camaraderie and tranquility permeated the air. Wang Rinu and Yanalek, the 3 noble youths, found themselves in the company of the king's subject, preparing to lead a life of asceticism. The monks and novices laughed, exchanged greetings, and congratulated Yanalek. Wang Rin, Champor had already chosen to forsake their wealth for a simpler life in the monastery. They understood the risks and burdens that came with their noble backgrounds. They immediately hung their bundles of possessions on trees, indicating that they sought a life dedicated to humility and spiritual growth. The kind-hearted Yanalek, aspiring to embrace their path, had a different vision. He wanted to join their quest for spiritual awakening, guided by the wisdom of the monastery to attain inner peace and liberation. The abbot, representing the Buddhist community, greeted them, not only explaining that within the monastic community there were no ranks. Rid themselves of their possessions and ornaments was a significant step towards realizing this equality. The humblest monk of the group, Arze Chanton, had embraced this philosophy for many years. In the journey they had been baiting horses, preparing for the ascetic lifestyle. Now they were part of the larger spiritual community, united by their quest for peace and the liberation of the soul. Their guide Yanalek introduced himself as a prince of the Orton lands, coming to the path of spirituality after relinquishing his worldly life. This decision was marked by his commitment to the ideal of humbleness. as they continued their journey under the guidance of Wianek. They immersed themselves fully in the monastic life, dedicating their time to meditation on spiritual growth. Their ornaments and wealth were no longer of significance as they focused on the path of inner transformation. For enlightenment, he chose to sleep under the tree instead of in the house. One evening, as he sat meditating beneath the tree, he experienced faith through an immense joy he had never felt before. Overwhelmed by this bliss, he called in help, but praised it loudly, exclaiming, "Half the joy! Half the joy!" A nearby villager heard his exclamation and reported it to the monastery the next morning. A head monk, hearing of this, invited him for a meal. Afterward, a monk asked him about his joyous outbursts the previous night. The meditator explained, "I may still be attached to worldly names and so I wish to report to you, Venerable Sir, that when I sat in meditation last night beneath the tree, I exclaimed, 'Half the joy, half the joy!' The monk replied with a smile, 'Excellent, my friend. You have taken a significant step in your spiritual journey. Happiness you experienced is the aspiration of all sentient beings. During your stay here, I will guide you in relinquishing attachment to your past fame and wealth.'" The meditator, deeply moved by the monk's words, continued to meditate. And like his past life in the monastery, he felt completely free, fearless, and serene. The newfound experience brought immense joy and satisfaction, and he let go of any lingering attachments to people and possession. He began to live like a deer freely roaming a forest unaffected by fear or desire. His joyous exclamation, half the joy," became a testament to his liberation. The monastery praised the head monk for his skillful guidance. During this time in the monastery, many individuals joined the spiritual path, inspired by the young man's transformation. One day, as he meditated under the tree, he noticed a poisonous snake crawling near his wife's bed. Fearing for her life, he woke her and shared the incident. They both sought advice from the head monk and expressed their willingness to embark on the spiritual path. A monk advised the wife to wait for the right time to leave her household responsibility and join the community, as she was not yet prepared. He encouraged her to be patient and said that in the future an opportunity might arise for her to join monastic life. With this, the story of the meditator at the monastery comes to an end. We will meet again in the next chapter. Inward, that this story illustrates the power of letting go of all hidden anger, greed, and misconceptions, and how embracing the path of spirituality can bring about immense joy and liberation. It also highlights the importance of patiently waiting for the right time to relinquish one's worldly responsibilities and fully commit to a spiritual life. As we conclude this episode, we witness the power of compassionate reasoning and the resilience of those seeking enlightenment. A journey too intricate and challenging, but the stories of these individuals reveal that with open-hearted communication, understanding, and compassion, one can navigate societal expectations and personal aspirations. Stay tuned for more captivating tales on our ongoing journey towards spiritual awakening. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our quest for wisdom and enlightenment. Until next time, may your path be filled with peace and profound insight.